So, I wasn't really sure what to expect when I first booted up a short hike. I mean, aside from it probably being a game where I go on a short hike, that much was obvious. But what I really wasn't expecting was a 2.5 hour therapy session from a bunch of anthropomorphic birds and other miscellaneous animals. Okay, slight exaggeration. To most accurately describe a short hike, I'd have to say... Well, here, how about this? Have you ever been forced to go somewhere or do something when you really just aren't feeling up to it? Maybe you've got a looming school deadline, or a big performance coming up, or maybe even family trouble at home, and yet here you are, being forced to go on some camping trip, or dragged out with friends when you're really not feeling up to it. Or maybe you're even being forced to go on a hike.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But then you find, and maybe this isn't the case for everyone, once you're actually out doing that thing you were forced into, you actually end up having a good time and are able to take your mind off of or just reevaluate whatever problem you may have been facing. And it's that realization or that feeling that I think a short hike really manages to embody. A short hike has you playing as Claire, a young bird girl person who reluctantly seems to be taking a summer trip out to an island with her aunt, who's also a ranger on the island. It's made pretty clear that Claire isn't exactly thrilled about being here, and you soon find out she's anxiously awaiting a call. But from who? We don't know. At least not yet. But uh-oh, turns out there's no reception on the island. Not unless you're at Hawks Peak, the island's highest point. And so there you go, that's our objective. Get to Hawks Peak. Pretty easy, right? Well, it's here now where you quickly begin to realize what exactly this game is all about. Your first interaction is with this little dude, who is really just supposed to be like a tutorial message, but your whole conversation can end up devolving into this. And the next person you meet is another little bird dude. This time, he's almost demanding that you find him 15 seashells, with no reason as to why. You'll notice right away that the writing in this game is super snappy and honestly just genuinely funny, with every character being endearing in their own right. From this frog who loses his own fake elections, to a struggling artist, and an old goat paranoid about technology and internet thieves. This is what became the initial draw for me to first start exploring the island in the first place and exhaust all the dialogue that I could. But in doing that, the game's themes slowly became more and more clear to me. Now, what exactly are the themes? Well, calm down, I'll get to it, just wait, okay? As I explored more of the island, I would discover more and more little side quests to do for people. From helping test the brand new sport of stickball, racing a friend to different points on the island, or just learning how to fish. While playing though, I slowly began to realize that a lot of these little tasks were actually acting as little lessons in and of themselves. Fishing with Mr. Walrus over here taught patience, even though this is like the quickest fishing minigame ever, but that's besides the point. Joining the rock climbing club and racing taught perseverance, helping edgelord Andy over here with his college tuition taught charitability, and playing stickball taught Claire how to just let loose and have fun once in a while. And after completing all these little things, you'll earn golden feathers, which allow you to climb, fly, and jump for longer periods of time. So pretty straightforward game mechanics so far. Definitely my favorite task of them all though, was this little questline where you keep running into this struggling artist raccoon guy. After every interaction, you'll be able to find him in different spots on the island, trying to come up with the perfect painting for this exhibition he's been invited to. Claire compliments every painting, yet it's never enough for him. He just needs to do something new and different, and is worried about keeping up with the other contemporary artists that'll be there, even revealing that he's clearly tying his self-worth to the worthiness of his art. That is until, in one of your last interactions with him, Claire gets him to realize that he was already invited to this art show by the guy running it because of his existing work that people already seem to enjoy, so why overthink it? This results in Mr. Raccoon deciding to go back to where he started painting in the first place. This time, even including Ranger John and simply doing what he likes best without worrying about how innovative or new the idea may be. Claire even ends up encouraging him to just include all of the paintings he's painted so far in the exhibit. This little side story really resonated with me, and I'm sure it will for a lot of you guys as well. Ugh, fuck. In art, and honestly a lot of other fields as well, the anxiety of not producing something that's never been done before or is innovative is a pretty heavy weight I think a lot of us carry around, and is personally something I struggle with even in just making these essays, if I'm being honest. Like, as I'm writing this, I'm doubting whether this script is even any good, or if I should even bother making this video. But at the end of the day, so long as you're producing something that is genuine to you and your feelings, that's all that really matters. And honestly, I think that's where the best works of art come from. So when I was able to kind of witness this progression from an outside perspective of a little pixelated raccoon man, it was honestly kind of therapeutic. But anyways, that's just one of the game's side stories. What about our protagonist, Claire? Well, after you've explored the island to your heart's content and gained enough golden feathers, you can finally flap your way up to the top of Hawk's Peak. And this is where the game's themes really become clear. So after taking in the gorgeous view of Hawk's Peak for a few moments, Claire's phone rings. The phone call she's been waiting for this whole time. With all the other things you've been doing on the island up to this point, you may have even forgotten that this was what she was originally waiting for, and I wouldn't blame you. In fact, I wager that's kind of the point. As it turns out, Claire was waiting on a call from her mom, who just had what is implied to be a pretty risky surgery. Apparently, Claire didn't learn about this surgery until she was already on her trip, explaining why she was so anxious about the call in the first place. But thankfully, it was a success, and Claire's mom is okay. So after Claire and her mom finish up their little wholesome conversation, a giant updraft on the mountain opens up, allowing Claire one last flight down the mountain and back to her cabin for a nap. This final flight is such a cool way to end the game, and really highlights the advantages of a small world map, as you basically just get to look back on everything you've explored and everyone you've helped, all set to a gorgeous soundtrack on top of that. And on the glide down, it finally kind of hit me what all these golden feathers were actually supposed to be representing. By the time I was getting to the end of the game, I think I'd done most everything and obtained 16 feathers, which made getting the Hawk's Peak a walk in the park, or a flap in the park? Okay. And that's the analogy right there. The golden feathers represent the literal act of helping, learning, and developing friendships with other people. Okay, stick with me. I know I'm talking about a feather mechanic in an indie game, but just hold on. You see, at the start, Claire is so caught up in her own anxieties about her mom, and yet, as she starts to help other people with their anxieties, or simply sit down and enjoy time with others, her anxieties and worries ultimately become easier to handle. Juxtaposed with how having more golden feathers literally makes you lighter weight and makes it easier for you to get around, I think this is a pretty clever analogy and sends home the message of the game beautifully. After you've reached the top, you can even head back and give away some of your feathers to help a photographer up the rest of the way, further making the golden feather analogy pretty clear in my eyes. I mean, you're basically sharing your experience with someone else to help them reach the top too. So, am I just overanalyzing this 1 to 2 hour indie game? Maybe. Probably. But I like to think I'm kinda onto something here, and whether it was intentional or not, this is what I really love to find in video games. The ability to blend gameplay into character development or story is such a unique thing that only the art form of video games can achieve, and that's fucking awesome. All in all, A Short Hike is a beautiful gem of a game that really provided me some much needed perspective, and I hope we continue to get things like it for as long as this godforsaken planet is around. Even if this video spoiled some things for you, I'd still implore you to go play it. It really is a great experience, and it'll hardly take up any of your time. Anyways, sorry this video ended up being so much shorter than my other ones, but thank you for watching regardless, and I hope I'll see you guys around next time.